First and foremost, a baby is learning about their survival mechanics. How do they support themselves with their continuous inflow of oxygen? But at the same time, how do they feed themselves with muscles that aren't super strong? And how do they coordinate the natural overwhelm that they're going to be perceiving in that majority of the behaviors are not a conscious construction of their intention, but rather a reaction of stimulus in their environment. So like the overwhelm that they're experiencing is the natural state that we're in when we don't know how to do something, but we have a bunch of feeling sensation coming through that process. So to be more specific, when I was saying earlier, the baby suctions to create like the head motion. As soon as the cranial cavity is supported by the diaphragm that exists in transition of essentially what the tongue does. The tongue is both an ability to push into the palate, but also pull backward into the throat. And one of the main mechanisms is that the tongue provides is that it connects the skull or the cranial cavity to the thoracic cavity by way of the neck. So our tongue, largely through this mechanism, before we had teeth, was the large provider of how we moved and resisted our bite. And so when we can resist our bite, we're effectively resisting our prime or the strongest degree of force that our body can produce. And the only reason why that's super important is because the tongue has the potential to be the inhibiting muscle to the strongest grip in our body, which is our jaw or our skull biting into our jaw. And once babies can do that fully, they start to leverage the cranial cavity with the neck. And so that allows for them to do these kinds of things, eventually allowing for them to load against a more stable neck. You can think just the neck travels through the lungs all the way to the diaphragm, called your mediastinum. It's where your heart goes. And so a large portion of what breathwork is it's really just introducing how do we coherently stabilize something that's super sensitive to inputs in a way that makes sense for us to not be overwhelmed, but to feel and move through it. And that's to the effect of forming the core and stabilizing the organs.